So Vasudevan Prabhu, I would like to invite you to present your uh, subject, question and answers in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. Yeah.
Prabhu, you can do the initial prayers, everything you can take us through, then I can take over if you're
Okay.
okay with that.
Fine. So please go to the next slide. Okay. Maybe go to the beginning slide. Maybe I'll just give a brief introduction. Uh, yeah. So Hare Krishna and a very warm welcome to everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam study course. And today we are starting a new initiative which is presentation by students. So Gita Online Study is now almost 4 years old, and in this YouTube channel, we have been posting our videos based on various uh, courses that we have done. We have courses on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, on Ishopanishad, Updeshamrit, Bhaktir Samrat Sindhu, etc. And now at the moment we are doing a course on Srimad Bhagavatam study, in which we are doing a detailed study of Srimad Bhagavatam. But like we have been doing these study courses for a number of years, our students have now grown up in their learning, in their knowledge, uh, and we want to give them an opportunity to exercise their presentation skills also in the course. So we have issued various topics to the students of our class. The students are given this choice, and they make a choice of one topic, and then they work for a couple of weeks to develop that topic, to develop the slides, and then we invite them one fine day to present that topic. So Vasudevan Prabhu has been studying in our class right from the day one. I remember in September 2019 we started our classes. We actually started our classes on site. uh, Later on in COVID they become online classes, and now their online classes are continuing further. So Vasudevan Prabhu has been there in our classes right from the day one. And now I, through interaction with him, discussions with him, I realize that Vasudevan Prabhu has learned enough, and he's ready to take the next step of actually presenting things to devotees and so on. So in that initiative, Vasudevan Prabhu will be presenting today on questions and answers in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. This is the topic that he has chosen. So this is the first class of this series, presentation by students. We will soon identify another student who will present in this class. So as Vasudevan Prabhu requested, I will do the initial prayers. Prabhuji, please can you move the slide? So Mangala Sharan prayers. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Now coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam prayers. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Over to you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam to Prabhuji and all the participants. And Prabhuji, whatever I am today in terms of spiritual, it has started from that Gita class way back in 2019. I am highly obliged for that. And this is today's opportunity. I am both fortunate and a little bit nervous. Fortunate that I have been given an opportunity, nervous that I should do justice to the opportunity. Nevertheless, I'll make a determined effort and hope. So I'll quickly just introduce a little bit about myself because many of you may not be aware. I'm basically a Delhi wala, born and brought up in Delhi. I did my graduation chemistry from Delhi. Then I did my textile chemistry course from UICT Mumbai. And then I have been working in the textile industry. I'm a textile professional working in the textile industry for the last 43 years in various senior positions in all the big groups, textile groups of India like Vardhaman, Aditya Birla Group, Arvind, Raymond. And finally, I retired as an executive director of a public limited company by name Himmat Simca Group, who basically exported to all the international brands, particularly in US, mainly in US. Now, personally about it, we hail from a very religious Sri Vaishnava family. So right, I've been blessed that right from the childhood, good values, and we were brought up in a very spiritually aware atmosphere. But there was a very dormant spiritual atmosphere because I was like most executives, uh, fully occupied in this corporate rat race and hardly paid much attention to this. It's only from when 2018 that I started taking lighter on my work and started focusing on this. And Gita classes of Prabhuji was the first. And of course, like Prabhuji mentioned, I've been associated right from there on all the classes, Isha Upanishad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, and now Bhagavatam. Parallelly, I've also been learning Vedas and I've also been learning Tamil Vedas. And I've also started many of the, in the last 4 years, I've got seriously into spiritual practices which are expanding. And in 2020, by middle of 2000, I started my own classes under the inspiration of Prabhuji. First, I started with Gita classes. I completed the Gita for 2 batches. And now we are doing some Deshika Stotra, which is a Vedanta Deshika is one of the Sri Vaishnava Acharya's gurus. He has a lot of compositions which are very philosophical and meaningful. So we are me along with my brother, we are doing those. So those classes are very beneficial and very helpful for me. That's why I've taken up. I'll not take too much time. So all that, I just want to share quickly my experience and how what's been happening with me in the last 4 or 5 years and since I've got into this. One thing is, as we get into it, my spiritual routine has got expanded. Everyday routine, morning, afternoon, evening pujas, the length of the pujas, also the presence in the pujas is increasing, and then the yearning is also more on this, and consequently I also have a lot of experience that my material interests are coming down, material these things are assuming less meaning, etc. And teaching has been very cornerstone for me because when we teach, one thing like Prabhuji very clearly pointed out in his presentation, you have to learn the subject thoroughly. You have to be prepared for questions. Then teaching makes you research into the subject. And more than research, you get the grace of the Lord. That's also in my experience. For example, if I'm going to do Gita chapter 5 and I go read through chapter 2, the chapter 4 remains in my mind and I am able to get new realizations, new insights into that. And that is the way, I guess, Lord's mercy flows. So this is all I want to share. So what I am trying to do, I am also in the spiritual journey very recently, fully caught up in the material world. Only for the last 4 or 5 years, I am getting this inclination and it is doing wonders. So as I say, it's never too late and it's never too early. The earlier you start, the better. Never too late to start on this journey. And I hope this inspire and motivate other people also. Now I'll move forward to today's presentation. So fortunately, I've got this one slide right in terms of Prabhuji's advice. This is the overview of today's session, what we are trying to cover. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to cover everything, but we'll try to do justice. So the first thing is, before the subject I chose were question answers in Canto1, because this question answer format has been very close to my heart for various reasons, which I'll explain. So we'll just go quickly look into how to question, and then the importance and benefit of this question answer format. And then we'll go into actually the first 6 questions, then the answers to the first set of questions, then the second set of course questions, and the answers to that second set of 4 questions. This will be our format of today's presentation. Now, we all have studied Gita. We have been students of Gita. And in Gita, very clearly, Krishna says how to question. And I've just picked up that sloka from chapter 4, sloka number 34. I am sure all of you are very familiar with this. Tat vitti pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. And we'll quickly see the meaning of this. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. I'm not going into the detail because you already. So, pariprashnena sevaya. Sevaya means in service. Pariprashnena, ask questions. These are very important words. And Srila Prabhupada has very well explained it in his purport, and we'll see some points from his purport which are very relevant, and we'll see how these apply in these questions by these rishis also. First is, of course, you should have a bona fide spiritual master, because unless you ask question to a right person who can give you a proper answer based on true scriptures, it doesn't help. So you should have a bona fide spiritual master whom you can. And then this, once you know he's a bona fide spiritual master, you have to accept him in full surrender. Now, we can't be questioning our spiritual master, we cannot be doubting our spiritual master, or we cannot approach our spiritual master with half belief. Once we have accepted somebody as a spiritual master, we have to go with full belief and full surrender. That is the secret. And then sevaya. This, our mentality should be to serve. Our mentality cannot be what is the benefit I am going to get. It should be to serve and please the spiritual master. Once we serve and please and satisfy the spiritual master, then the spiritual master himself is very keen to teach you everything. And in fact, Prabhupada in his purport will say, if you are submissive to the spiritual master and if you are genuine in your desire, the spiritual master will take care of the rest. So you have to satisfy the spiritual master, and your queries has to be submissive. Queries cannot be argumentative, queries cannot be confrontative, and queries cannot be challenging. Many times we all in material world, we have a habit of questioning things in a challenging manner, in an authoritative manner. That is not the right way to question. They have to be submissive. And of course, most importantly, the questions have to be based on your understanding for the next level. Without understanding anything, you can't, if you're asking just blindfolded or absurd queries, that is not on. That is not accepted. That is not accepted materially also. That's definitely not accepted spiritually. And similarly, when you question, you have to listen to the answers submissively. Sometimes you may understand the answers. Sometimes you may not understand. But you have to hear submissively and try to understand. If you are hearing submissively, even if you don't understand, your spiritual master will make sure that you understand, either by analogies or by, he will find a way to make you understand. But if you pretend to understand, or if you are not listening submissively, think I can't understand all this, then it doesn't work. And of course, wherever there is genuine desire and wherever a student is in a service mode, hearing submissively, the Guru blesses and makes sure here. So I thought it's important that we understand some of these dimensions of the question before we use. And we will also see a little bit on what is the importance of this question, importance of this format of question and answer. And the importance of this question, many of our scriptures are based on this format. You know, Bhagavad Gita in itself is an answer to the questions of Arjuna. So, whole Bhagavad Gita is because until you see whole of the first chapter, Krishna doesn't speak anything. It's only in the second chapter when Arjuna says that I have surrendered to your feet, you have to guide me what to do. Then only Krishna starts speaking. And also, if you see Krishna's answer throughout the Bhagavad Gita, he's just answering the question. He is not expounding the whole philosophy. But one question with a good student like Arjuna leads to the next level. Like that's how the whole Gita is built up. And we can see, we all have studied Gita, and I'm sure we have. Similarly, we see Bhagavatam is another example, and Parikshit to Sukadeva. And Parikshit asks a question and Sukadeva answers. We'll see more in the, similarly, Shaunaka asks Sutta Goswami and he answers. And we will see why this is important and how it serves better. And we'll see in today's class also, in the next slide also. Then similarly, Vishnu Sahasranama is a question. Yudhishthira asks Bhishma Deva the question, and then Bhishma Deva's answer is in the form of a prayer, which is now recited very popularly as Vishnu Sahasranama. So like this, in our this thing, there are many such examples. Now we see what is the advantage. Okay, we have seen the importance. What is the advantage of this question answer? There are a few advantages of this question answer. One is the teacher is able to pitch the explanation to the level of the student. Like I said in Gita, every question Krishna answers at one level. It's only when Arjuna asks the next question that he goes to the next level. Similarly, we will see the same thing in Bhagavatam also. Parikshit, some of the things Sukadev Goswami will say briefly. Then when Parikshit asks, no, I want to hear it in detail. Prime example is in Canto 9, the Leelas of Krishna. So Sukadev Goswami almost concludes all the Leelas of Balrama and Krishna. They have done great Leelas and tried to, in 8-9 slokas, he concludes. Then Parikshit says, no, I want to hear the story of Krishna in full detail. I am not thirsty, I am not hungry, because Krishna Katha is fulfilling my thirst and hunger. So please give me. It's only after that Sukadev Goswami, Canto 10, he explains fully in detail about all of Krishna's thing. So the teacher is able to pitch the explanation to the level of the student. And secondly, like we saw in this example also, it ensures the inquisitiveness and attention of the Shishya. So for example, if a student is attentive for 45 minutes only, there's no point in giving him a 2-hour lecture. It's not going to register. So you have to make sure that the student is inquisitive, and to that extent. The question answer format helps that. And then similarly, questions ensures assimilation by the student of what has been said. Now, a preacher can go on saying some things, but a student may not understand. So when he asks a question, you know that he has understood this concept and he is now asking a question of the next concept. And we will see this progression throughout Bhagavatam, we will see. And here also you can see how Shaunak Rishi and other rishis are questioning this thing. And only after that questioning, Sutta Rishi starts the Bhagavatam explanation. So these are a few thoughts that I thought I would share with you before going to the actual subject matter. Now we'll go into the actual subject matter. The first set of 6 questions. What is this first set of? First, let us see who is the questioner and whom is he addressed to and where is it occurring in Bhagavatam. So the questioner is Saunaka and all the other rishis. This is not a question, if you notice, asked only by Saunaka. They are all asking jointly in chorus. And this is very important sometimes at the beginning, because Sutta Maharshi also will have a greater interest in answering this question when he knows that all the people want to know. Only one person is asking, then sort of his energy level also can. That's why I thought I should mention this here. Sonaka and other the rishis, all of them ask. If you say there also Rishaya Uvacha. So Rishaya means all the rishis spoke. And whom are they addressing? They are addressing Sutta Maharishi. And where is it coming? It is coming in chapter 1. Now moving forward, we will see. So what are these 6 questions? First set of 6 questions. So question number 1. What is absolute and ultimate good for the people? Again, we have the reference at the end of each question. Canto 1, chapter 1, sloka 9. Then question number 2. What is the essence of scriptures that benefits everyone? Third question. What is the purpose for which Krishna incarnated? And then the fourth one is describes Lord's Purusha avatars. And the fifth question is described about Lord's Leela avatars. And then the sixth question in this is whom did Dharma take shelter after Krishna's departure to his eternal abode? Now, these first 6 questions, you can see a very nice thread through these questions. And you see the rishis are asking, they are not asking something for their selfish interest. They are asking because, as you would have seen in between slokas also, in the Kali age, people are under a lot of stress, they have a lot of short life, and they are ignorant. So that is the background, what is good for the absolute good for the people. And so it is these rishis, and like all rishis, are looking at the welfare of the general population. And so that's where the starting point is. Then similarly, second question is, okay, welfare of the people. So all these rishis are very learned. They are not ignorant souls like us. So they have studied a lot of scriptures, but so they are expressing their problem. There are so many scriptures, and it takes so long to master all the scriptures that we want to know, since you have read all the scriptures and you have learned everything, we want to know from you what is the essence of the scriptures that benefits everyone. And secondly, this is just happening just after the Krishna has departed to his eternal world. He has finished his incarnation, so to say. And so they want to know about Krishna also. Why did purpose for which Krishna incarnated? And as a consequence, as a corollary to, they also want to know the Lord's Purusha avatars, the Lord's Leela avatars, and then finally, that whom did Dharma take shelter after Krishna's departure? So if you see a thread through these questions, first is what is good for the people, and we want the essence of scriptures. And the background of this is, now that we are entering the Kali, which is supposed to be bad time spiritually, Kali, so whom did Dharma take shelter? What are the purpose of Krishna's incarnation, and what are the general incarnations of the Lord? So very logical thing. And if you go through this question answer, we can see how it has fulfilled all the conditions that Prabhupada said. They have got a bona fide spiritual master in Sutta Goswami, as is mentioned. They themselves mentioned that you are knowledgeable, you have studied all the scriptures, etc. Second thing, they have all given him a good seat. They have first praised him before asking the questions. So they are asking these questions in submission, and they are asking for that. And you see the best part, the subject matter of the questions is also very good. It's all about the Lord. It's all about Krishna. There are no mundane questions here, etc. And there's no, no nonsense questions or anything. And it's a very, very submissive question. And it's a genuine desire for all people to know, not even genuine desire for themselves to progress, a genuine desire for all people to benefit. And there's no general, no blind questions, nothing. So this is one thing that I wanted to highlight before going to actual answers. Now, let's see, look at the answers. We'll look at the answers to questions one by one. First question, what is absolute and ultimate good for the people? The simple answer, you can say one word or 3-word answer, is pure devotional service. Now, why is pure devotional service considered so good and why is it? So particularly for Kali Yuga. So this shloka captures this beautifully, and we look at this shloka and then we will see Savai punsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adokshje ahaitukya apratihita yayatna suprasidati. Now, this, I'm not going into the detail of explaining this shloka, etc. So, because Prabhuji has already done and we all have understood it, so I don't. We'll just briefly look at the meaning and what are the important takeaways from that. The simple English translation is, the supreme occupation or dharma of all humanity is that by which men can attain to long devotional service into the transcendental Lord. So here you can see categorically the sloka says the supreme occupation, whatever occupation you have other this thing, the supreme occupation is loving devotional service to. There's no ambiguity in that, there's no doubt in that. Such devotional service must be unmotivated, uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Now, why we will see in the next sloka, what is this so specific about unmotivated and uninterrupted? Even though Prabhu, these two words only we will take it in there. The two most important words of this answer are ahaituki, unmotivated and causeless. Now, let's look at the first part. Why? What is the importance of unmotivated and causeless? See, in Gita classes, we have studied about prayer. Now, we have seen what is the different levels of prayer. We pray, some people pray out of fear, some people pray mechanically out of because they are supposed to do. Some people pray for different benefits. If I pray, I should get promoted, I should get a good reward, I should get a happy event. And there are people praying with pure love. So we always say that the best part of prayer is praying with pure love. And what is this pure love? Pure love means you don't want anything from that. Even in the material world, what is pure love? Pure love means you are interested in the welfare of the other person. You are not expecting anything from you. Don't have any motivation for loving. You will help that person because, for example, we love our family. How do we show? We do whatever family needs. Irrespective, we are not expecting some return from the family. We have no motivation. It is just our love. So similarly, if it is in material world itself applicable to this section, how much more important it should be when it applies to the Lord. So our real love and our devotion has to be unmotivated. That is the top level. Of course, we cannot reach this unmotivated love or unmotivated devotional service in one day or 1 week. It is a process. But we have to know that that is the goal we have to reach. So for us is, okay, it will sometimes start mechanically. It will be sometimes with a purpose. Sometimes it will be out of fear, etc. That's okay. But if you know that my objective is to reach unmotivated love, you will find your presence in devotional service goes on. I can share this from a personal experience. Earlier, I used to start many of these, my religious activities, just mechanically. I should do it. I am supposed to do it. It's good for doing, etc. Slowly, and I used to find that very often my presence is not. I hope you understand presence. Presence means we'll be reciting a prayer, but other thoughts would be running in my mind, our mind. Or we'll be reciting the prayers and suddenly we'll say, oh, what is happening there, etc. So when you say unmotivated, you're not hearing anything. You're not admitting. So this is what I call by presence. So this presence improves. Of course, I'm not saying it's 100% now, but that presence improves as you go on. And unmotivated means your presence will be 100% on that. So that is costless. So that will happen only when you have pure love. Without any cost, you're doing devotion. Now the second important, equally important, is apratihita or uninterrupted. Or characteristic is cannot be checked. What is this uninterrupted cannot be checked? It might look at the first sight, this is all a theoretical concept, this does not apply to us, it applies only to great acharyas, etc. No, it is not true. Because we know, let me go with a material example. In the material world itself, sometimes when we are doing office work or some work which we desperately want to complete, We are so much focused, we don't even hear others, we don't even feel hungry, we don't eat, we don't drink, we just go finish that. Only after finishing that task, or even in terms of emergency situation, let's say you're fighting a fire or you're fighting a calamity, you just go. So this is only a material. So how much more is it applicable in case of a devotional service to Lord? So the soul has to be 24 hours involved with the Lord only. And I was just reading a couple of days back about one of our Vaishnava, is not an Acharya, he's supposed to be an incarnation of the Lord, called Nammalvar. There are 12 Alvars, one Nammalvar. This Nammalvar, since he was born until the age of 16, he never opened his eyes, he never opened his mouth, he never drank anything, he never ate anything, he never cried. That is the thing. Why? Later on, he says in his sloka 6, he says, I was blessed by the Lord, that I was fed by him. Everything was Krishna only for me. My food, my drinking water, everything was Krishna. He only took care of me, and I was lost in him. So this is a person who's actually lived. So it is not that it is so uninterrupted. So we all have to work towards it. So at least the least we can do is when we are doing our 1 hour prayer or our japa, etc., can we improve our presence and make sure it is uninterrupted, not do it in batches, not do it in this thing, etc. And even understanding this custom and trying it, I'm sure will lead us to Lord's grace and progress. So I thought these are the two important things. For me, this is really both these dimensions very close to my heart. It's not some literature I am doing because I have seen its impact in practice. Now, moving on to the next one, the second question. Now we want to the answer of the second question, which is more or less the same, but a slightly different dimension. What is the essence of scriptures that benefits everyone? Again, the answer is pure devotional service. Now, but in this sloka, we'll see next on this sloka, how Sutta Goswami brings another dimension to this. We can see from this sloka. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadai Haitukam. Now, so this sloka, if you look at the meaning, it looks very similar, but we will see in the next slide what is most important. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires costless knowledge and detachment from the world. Now, if you know, in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna assures, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, that whoever is ananyas chintayanto ma yejana paripaste tesham nityam yogakshemam vahamyam. So ananyas chintam, whoever is thinking about me without a break, yogakshemam vahamyam. Yoga means I give both prosperity as well as, that is, I protect what you have and I also provide what you lack. Yoga Kshema. Kshema means to protect what you have. Yoga means to give what it doesn't have. So Krishna there itself attributes, whoever is in my devotional says, I make sure I give him whatever this thing. So immediately acquires costless knowledge and detachment from the world. We'll see a couple of examples after in this. So the two important points, and bhakti quickly induces knowledge and detachment. Now, knowledge and detachment go parallelly in opposite direction. As your knowledge increases, your detachment comes down. As your detachment comes down, your knowledge also increases. Now, bhakti induces this. Even if you start bhakti mechanically, even if you start slowly, the Lord showers His grace and induces knowledge and induces detachment. That is the beauty of bhakti. Similarly, that is what? And what kind of knowledge that it detects? Ahaitukam jnanam. Ahaitukam jnanam means, see, devotional service, like we saw in the first previous sloka also, is costless love. You have to do costless. Costless means you cannot have desire. You cannot have desire even for impersonal liberation. Your desire, only desire you have is to serve the lotus feet of Krishna, to serve Lord Krishna in whatever way he wants you to serve. So that is important. So that is the important rider. So otherwise, again, bhakti becomes motivated. It doesn't become costless. So the important thing is bhakti itself will induce this knowledge and detachment, and this knowledge has to be devoid of the desire for personal. See, when we say why knowledge has to be divided, and we are saying it might look like a contradiction, we are saying bhakti introduces knowledge and knowledge. So what happens? This is the reference to half-baked knowledge. Some people get half-baked knowledge and think that, okay, impersonal liberation is a wonderful example that Prabhupada gives is of a train. So a person just has some first impression and thinks this is what a train is. But when you see closer, you understand that the train is a different thing, or for the hill. So similarly, you should not have this, your desire based on half-baked knowledge. Desire for impersonal liberation is a desire based on half-baked knowledge. So, because then that will prevent you from doing devotional service. That is why the important that we should understand devotional service, and we should costless devotional service should be our aim. Now, we have a very interesting incident, in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going through Karnataka, and there was this illiterate man. People said he doesn't understand anything. He is holding the Gita upside down, and every day, and he just cries the whole day. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji approached him. He said, okay, you tell me what have you seen in this Gita, etc. He says, in the first sloka, my Lord is chariot to Arjuna. So my Lord is, so he says, I can't stand that. So he's crying, he's emotionally experiencing. My Lord has been reduced to a charioteer of Arjuna. So he is able to relate with the greatness of Krishna, which even Arjuna was not able to at the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. It's only in chapter 12 that Arjuna was able to relate to the greatness of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, yes, you are doing very well. You continue, carry on. So that is bhakti. That bhakti has got the knowledge. What knowledge we are trying to get by studying Gita, by studying Bhagavatam, studying all this literature, that illiterate fellow has got by the grace of Lord, and he is able to experience the Lord in his own way. So that is the power of bhakti. Okay, now I'll just take a couple of minutes, pause. Any questions on whatever we have gone through, answers to the first two questions, any observations? Is it okay, Prabhuji? Just take a
Yes,
couple of minutes.
this is going on very well, Prabhu. I see you are giving examples, you are uh, explaining it, expanding it with the help of examples, making shastric connections, giving references from Bhagavad Gita to cover up your point, and even explaining it through your personal experiences. So I think presenting it very well. Please continue. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Now, we will move on to the answer to the third question. So again, we'll see a simple answer, and then, what is the purpose for which Krishna incarnated? Krishna incarnated reclaimed those in the mode of goodness. And we'll just see the sloka, and then we'll see this in greater detail. The simple one-line answer is to reclaim those in the mode of goodness. And the sloka here is Canto 1, Chapter 2, sloka number 34. Bhavayatyesha satvena lokan vai lokha bhavanah Leelavatara Anurato Devatir Yang Naradishu. And we will see the simple meaning. Thus, the Lord of the universes maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, and lower animals. And in his play, Leela, he assumes the roles of incarnations to reclaim those in the mode of goodness. Now, in many of the scriptures, this is sort of referred to as Avatara Rahasya. So, what is this Avatara Rahasya? Why does Lord avatar? And I will share a couple of little bit detail in this. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he incarnates for 3 reasons. And the Dharma Sanstapana, the 3 causes he says is to Dharma Sanstapanataya, Vinashaya Chadushram, and for the protecting the good people. Now, so there are 3 purposes, but here he is saying only 1 purpose. Why? So this is a question that comes to all our mind. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sanstapanarthaya samambhami yuge yuge. So these 3 purposes are there, but here he says only to reclaim those in the mode of goodness. Because our acharyas say, see, for the killing of, Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita also, the killing, once he has made a sankalpa that these people have to kill, he can find many ways of kill. He does not have to come in incarnate. Even in Mahabharata, he does not kill people, no? If you see in the Mahabharata, he makes people fight and kill. So as a Lord, to kill evil people, he doesn't have to come. He can create the situation, he can create circumstances. His sankalpa alone is enough to kill people. Even he can be in Vaikuntha and he can kill everything, etc. So he doesn't have to come. Similarly, establishing dharma. If he kills the dushkrita, he can establish dharma. But what is the real reason that the Lord comes? Because Lord wants to interact with the gopis. Lord wants to interact with the cowherds. Lord wants to do all this play with all his bhaktas. All Lords want to be son of Yashoda. Lords want to... So Lord stays in this because he is able to... Lord wants to relate with all the yadus. So Lord wants to relate. And if you can see all the... Similarly, you can see the same thing in Rama Avatar also. Rama Avatar, just to kill Ravana, killing Ravana is not a big deal for Rama. He doesn't need the monkey army. He doesn't need Sugriva. But his main purpose, he wants to interact with them. He wants to show. And through those interactions, demonstrate to us that the Lord has costless, unlimited mercy. So he is not only paving good way, he is also motivating us through these stories. There is a saying, see, we all want gossip. So we have lots of things to gossip. What happened in the neighbor's house, what happened in the other house. But the sadhus and rishis, what is their matter of gossip? So their matter of gossip is this Krishna avatar, Rama avatar, Leelas of Lord. That is the gossip they like. So for them to write gossip, he has to do the roles, he has to load of acts, then only they'll be able to. So the question is not only to reclaim those in pure goodness, is to motivate people to develop that pure goodness mode. Motivate all of us to the stories, through those incidents, how merciful the Lord is, how loving the Lord is, so that we all progress towards this costless devotion and unmotivated bhakti. So that is the whole. And you see the connection in the answers between all 3. If you look at it individually, it seems just that. But if you are able to see the connection, then that is where I think Lord's grace is there on us. So this is a connection I see. So the important thing is this, it is not goodness, not by just one act, but the whole act. That is why all the Krishna Leelas, all the Leelas of Rama, all these avatars, we are studying in so much detail and enjoying the various dimensions of all these, whether it's Narsimha avatar or all these avatars. So it is mainly to reclaim those in the mode of goodness, to motivate us who have this material attachment to develop this mode of goodness. Now we'll move forward to the next question. This is a question number 4. And question number 4 is to describe Lord's Purusha Avatar. Now, all these concepts we have studied in considerable detail. Prabhuji has explained very well in before the Gita classes, during Gita classes, and multiple references in various classes. So I'll quickly run through these answers. Basically, the Lord's Purusha Avatars, we are talking about this. There are 4 slokas covering that. And what are these 4 slokas talking? There's talking about Karanodakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Shirodakshayi Vishnu, then all pervading super soul and the Paramatma. We will go and quickly see directly the English meaning of these slokas. So, sloka number 30, we are talking of Canto 1, Chapter 2, slokas 30 to 33, which form the answer of this. Sloka number 30, Sutta Goswami is explaining about Karnak. He says that Lord alone created this universe using his material energy, endowed with energies of cause and effect and material gunas, but himself remains transcendental. See, there are some very important concepts embedded in each of these slokas. I just want to draw your attention to that without going into detail. The first concept is the Lord alone created this universe. There is no other creator of this universe. There is nobody. And then the second thing, even though he's created this universe with his material energy, he is not part of this universe, or he is not boss, he is not any cause or effect on this. Like Krishna says in his Bhagavad Gita, his avatar also, that he is not born because of the karmas. So his birth is absolutely divine. So he remains alone. So here that's why specifically while answering this question also, Sutta Goswami says, even though he's created this, but he himself remains transcendental. Transcendental means he is beyond. He is not, it is his material energy. It's not his spiritual energy. So how does this spiritual energy come in? We'll see in the next lokas. Then the next comes Garbhodakshayi and Shirodakshayi Vishnu. What happens? The Lord expands himself and personally entered this universe in the bodies of jivas. Again, the Lord expands. And like we say, the Lord is omnipresent. How is he omnipresent? He expands himself and is personally entered to this, every atom of this universe, both material and jiva, and the bodies of the jivas. He appears to be one of the created beings, but he is always transcendentally. Again, same thing again. Just because he is created and he has entered this way, he doesn't become part of this way. He is not governed by the rules and regulations of this. He is transcendentally situated always. Then the third concept he brings in here, which is the all-pervading supersoul. The Lord as Paramatma pervades all things just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. Now, this is again a very important concept which was explained in Bhagavad Gita also very well. As a Paramatma, he pervades all things, and he also pervades all the jivas. So somebody may say he has many varieties. No, he is the absolute one without a second. Even though he pervades and he permeates everything, it's like an analogy of fire is given brilliantly. You can put 10 varieties of wood. The fire will spread across all of them. So we don't have a different fire for different type of woods. It's only the same fire which pervades all these, or permeates all the wood. Similarly, it's not a perfect analogy because you can't get a perfect analogy for the Lord. So the way he pervades is only he pervades. There's nobody else who can do, or there's no example materially which can cover that. He pervades all things and all jivas. It's just for us to extend and understand that this is given. But again, he is the absolute one without a second. Then the 33rd shloka finally concludes the Purushavatar, the Paramatma, or the super soul, enters living entities affected with gunas and having senses and mind causes them to enjoy the sense objects. Now, this has to be understood in the right perspective. You've seen in Bhagavad Gita, every soul, the Lord as super soul also enters living entities, but he is an observer. He is not motivating. So, he is entering the body which is affected with gunas and having senses and mind causes them to enjoy. So we are driven by our gunas, and our gunas drive us, and our sense organs drive us, and we enjoy the world until we realize that yes, there is a super soul. And we start realizing that there is a super soul, and then we start addressing that super soul. Then slowly he helps us to overcome this attachment to senses and sense objects and to gunas, and slowly, like in Bhagavad Gita, he says in chapter Devi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mam E Prapatyante Tesham Taranti Maya Etam Te. So this Maya of mine is very difficult to overcome. But those who surrender to me, only those who surrender to me, I help them cross this ocean of samsara. So that is that Paramatma. So in these four slokas, how the world is created and how the whole operating system of the world is clearly defined. That is what is the details of the Purushavatara. Now we will go to the next section, and which is the question number 5. Describe about Lord's Leela avatars. Now, there are 22 Leela avatars that are described in 20 verses and many more in the next 2. I have just tried to summarize them in a table. And of course, I'll just add a couple of comments after that. This is one table, there's another table in the next. All these are detailed in Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 3, Sloka 6 to 27. So it starts with the 4 Kumaras, then Varaha Avatar, and we have also seen the description of each of these. The Varaha Avatar, he lifted the earth with tusk of boar. All of us are familiar with all of them, so I don't have to go into the detail, and you understand it well. Narad Muni, he is empowered Bhakti Shakti, is a guru of Vyasadeva. We know Narad Muni has created the absolute this thing on devotional service, and if you read that Narada Bhakti Sutras, one thing that will come is that what we saw in the first sloka, the costless and uninterrupted bhakti. That is what Narada calls as bhakti. Then Nara Narayana Rishis, they are exemplary penances to control the senses. This is all Lord takes these incarnations to demonstrate to us. Then as Kapila Deva, he preaches to his mother and declared the Sankhya philosophy. And Dattatreya, so as he instructed Alarka and Prahlada, etc. Then we have Yajna, son of Prajapati, Ruchin. And because that time there was no suitable person qualified enough to take the position of Indra. So Lord has to incarnate as Yajna and manage the position of Indra for some times. It's like the owner of an organization coming and doing the job of a sales head because there's no sales head and there's no suitable, so starts doing the job. It is very similar to that here. Similarly, Rishabhadeva, he showed the path of perfection, fully controlling his senses. Prithu Maharaj cultivated. And we know that prior to Prithu Maharaj, because of the evil kings, the earth refused to yield produces and people were struggling. That is when the Lord incarnated as Prithu Maharaj, and sort of because of his good rule, the Prithvi also was very earth yielded its produce, and that's how people became prosperous. So Prithu Maharaj cultivated the land and yielded not only agriculture but other produce also from there. Then we have Matsya Avatar. I think we all know at the time of complete inundation, he took the form of fish to protect Vaivashvatamanu in a boat. Then Kurma also, we know, a giant tortoise to support Mandara mountain during the churning of the ocean. then Dhanvantri. So 17, sloka number 17 has two avatars, Dhanvantri and Mohini. First, as Dhanvantri appeared with the pot of nectar, and then as Mohini, he allured asuras, and then he ensured that the nectar was distributed only to the devas, and asuras did not get any nectar. Then, of course, we have the famous Nrsimha Deva, very powerful avatara, where he kills Hiranyakashipu. And the beauty of this avatara is, of course, he kept all the conditions of Brahma's boon intact and to protect Prahlada. And we all know that Brahma had asked a lot of sin that anybody created by Brahma cannot kill him. He cannot be killed in the day. He cannot be killed in the night. He cannot be killed by any weapon, manual or divine. And he cannot be killed by any man or animal. So that's why he had to take as Narsimha, and he has to use his nails to kill rather than any weapon. So then, of course, Vamadeva, as a dwarf Brahmin, took the whole universe from Mahabali. We all know that story, how after taking a boon of 3 steps, he expanded himself to measure the whole world in 2 steps, and with the 3rd step, Mahabali was centered. So he reclaimed the worlds and gave it to Indra and others. Then Parshurama, to see, because there was a time when Kshatriyas became so arrogant and dominant, they were rebelling against the Brahmanas. Brahmanas are supposed to be the intelligent class under whose advice Kshatriyas are supposed to rule. So when Kshatriyas went out of control, then Lord Ashtu incarnated Parshurama and killed the Kshatriyas 21 times. We can see this beautifully illustrated in Rama Avatara. And Rama, if you see every decision, he will consult Vashishta and other rishis and then only take a decision. That is how it is supposed to happen. But Kshatriyas in those times before Parshurama probably crossed the line, and that's why he had to do that. Then, of course, Vyasadeva, we know the immense service that Vyasadeva has done for us, dividing the Vedas, authoring Mahabharata, authoring Bhagavata Purana, Vedanta Sutras, many things. Then King Rama, of course, we know about Ramatha in detail, who controlled the Indian Ocean, killed Demon King Ravana. And then Lord Balrama and Lord Krishna eradicated the burden of the world. And then Lord Buddha, early in Kali, who stopped animal killing in the name of Vedic sacrifice, and he preached non-violence. And then Kalki we know will happen in the end of Kali Yuga. Now, these are not all the avatars of the Lord. And the next 2 slokas, there are many more avatars. There are, in fact, innumerable avatars. And if you can see, Prabhupada in his purport gives about 10, 12 Hansa Avatara to preach the Vedas to Brahma, then Hayagriva Avatara. Then there are many such avatars that Lord takes from time to time. This is just an important avatar. There is a sample given. So that completes our question and answers to the first set of 6 questions. Prabhuji, is it okay I take a few minutes more and complete, or should we break and continue later? Because we are running out of time, so I thought I'll check with you,
Yeah, yeah.
Prabhuji.
So what you can do, Prabhu, maybe you can complete it in this session.
Right.
Next session, maybe it might be a little not enough to complete it.
Right.
So what you can do is you may skip some of the details
Correct.
and maybe give an overview of the answer just to accommodate it within the time frame. Yeah.
Sure, I'll do that. Thank you. So the question number 7 to again, questioner is Sonaka Rishi. This time it's not all the rishis, Sonaka Rishi, because sometimes what happens when the groups of rishis are there is one leader, and Sonaka was the default rishi. Though he is able to ask the question in a more intelligent manner than all of them. Now we know that all are interested because they have all asked this question, all are interested. So Sonaka takes lead on their behalf and asks Sutama Rishi the next. And this is figuring in chapters 4 and 12, these questions. And I've clubbed these questions a little bit. And see, what is question number 7? In what period and what place was Srimad Bhagavatam first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Vyasadeva get the inspiration to compile this literature? Now, this is another brilliant question. See, because we all know Bhagavatam is a great literature. Bhagavatam, we should read, etc. That's okay. But from what period and at what place? It's a very important because they want to understand the background. They want to understand how did Vyasadeva get the inspiration to compile this literature, because then the whole context is complete. The next question number 8 is, please tell us about the birth and activities of Maharaja Parikshit. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges and fast until death? Why did he want to give up everything, including his life? Could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? Now, this question is relevant, very relevant. We will see it is relevant because Parikshit was a king. And as a king, it is his responsibility to protect the people. Now, if he himself abandons the kingdoms and takes more interested in his own progress, then they say, is it not a disservice to the population of his rule? So that is why this question is very important. Then, how was Sukhdev Goswami? We will skip this question because even the answer comes later. We will come back to this question later. Then the question number 10 is, the womb of Uttara was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama. How was Parikshit born in that form? How did his death take place and what did he achieve after his death? We all want to hear respectfully about him. We will see these answers to question and 8 and 10 in parallel because, see, these rishis and Sonakli, they are aware of some of the facts. And you can see how they want to hear more detail. So they are aware that Parikshit was a great Raja. They were aware that Parikshit gave up his body and decided to fast. They are also aware that before Parikshit was born, his life was in danger. But they want to get all the details so that they understand it fully and they don't have a half-baked knowledge. Now we'll quickly move on to the answers of the 7th question. We'll start with the 7th question. 7th question, of course, what place? Now, this is a long answer and I'll quickly run through. And you all know this answer has gone through almost 3 chapters from chapter 4, sloka 14 to chapter 7, sloka 11. So I'll just try to give you a brief summary of this answer. So Vedavyasa realized that the age of Kali is approaching, and this age of Kali, people have shortless, people are faithless, and there is deterioration of everything, material, deterioration in the values and deterioration in all respects, etc. So he wanted to make, in public interest, he wanted to make life simpler for the people age of Kali. So the Vedas were very large and very difficult to understand it. So he tried to simplify the Vedas. He divided it into 4. He disseminated this information to his different students, and he appointed one professor for each branch of the Veda. And then for easier understanding of people, he compiled the Mahabharata, which was more like a story, but with values built behind it. So he thought that will help less intelligent and women and low-caste people who cannot read scriptures. By reading Mahabharata, they will be able to understand the concept of these histories. But even after doing all this, he was not satisfied and he felt incomplete. And so he reflected. He reflected, what is it? Even after doing, why am I feeling this thing? And then he was in the process of guessing. He guessed. So he said, it's probably because I did not specifically point out the devotional service of the Lord. Like he was just guessing and thinking. And like you see, when you are in need, your spiritual master arrives. Deva Rishi Narada arrives. I'll just take 1 minute here. So there's a saying that when the desirous student is there, then the Guruji materializes automatically. Similarly, when a Guruji is looking for students, good students automatically win. This is a divine will. And I can share my own experience. I had no intention of joining any ISKCON class. I had no intention of studying Gita or anything. My association with Prabhuji and Gita, a pure accident. My wife in school said they have given some Gita class. I just want to go and see what is happening in this Gita class. And I was also not so serious. I just had a book Gita. I had Prabhupada's Gita. This I had brought 20 years back. So I had all that, etc. But still, I was not. I just said, okay, more out of curiosity, dekhte hain kya hota hai, let me go and see. But you see, that single prompt, how it has led to this. My whole spiritual journey is based on this. So this is how, when you have the intention, this is how the Lord materializes. So similarly, the moment this Vyasadeva was reflecting like this, Devarishi Narada arrives. And we have seen this Devarishi Narada arriving like this, even for Valmiki. Ratnakar Daku was there, he was killing, and Devarishi Narada appears there and converts him, and he becomes Valmiki Maharishi. So this is not uncommon, this is common. And same thing happened, and Narada told him very precisely, you have not broadcast glories of personality of Godhead. You have encouraged the natural tendency of people to enjoy in the name of religion. It is to be condemned and understood. This is with reference to Mahabharata. Now, if you see Mahabharata, there is so much politics and there is so much deceit, etc. There are as many bad lessons to be learned from Mahabharata as good lessons, etc. So people just enjoy it. People are not taking the religious import. They are not studying Bhagavad Gita. They are not understanding Bhagavad Gita. They are more interested in the drama, fighting, who won, who lost, etc. So the real message that Vyasadeva was trying to conclude as getting clouded or getting into the background. So that is why what Narada says, that in particular shloka I will read is very important. Tvamapyada brashruta vishrutam vibho samapyate yena vidam babusitam prakhyati dukkair mukurar ditat manam na klesha nirvana mushanti nanyata. Let's look at quickly into the meaning of this. Please therefore describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankering of great learned men and at the same time mitigate the miseries of masses of common people who are always suffering. Now, I'll just give 1 minute here. See the beauty of this shloka. That's why I brought this shloka here. That will satisfy the hankerings of the great learned men. Even the great learned men, even knowledgeable people, have hankerings. And how is that satisfied? It is by reading the Bhagavatam. When you go through the Bhagavatam, there's a Bhagavatam Mahatmyam is another subject. I'm just so it is serving both the purpose to hankering of the great learned men and contrast it with at the same time mitigate the miseries masses of common people. So this Bhagavatam is a literature both for the learned and the ignorant. Even the common people who are ignorant will get benefited highly from that literature, just as the learned will. So that is the beauty of this unique dimension of this Bhagavatam literature. And continuing that, says, indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. So this will relieve them from all misery. And then, of course, after this, Vyasadeva goes to his ashrama. Of course, Narada says many of these things because we'll quickly rush through that. So he goes to, he meditates, fixing his mind perfectly without any material tinge, saw the absolute personality of Godhead and his external energy. And so he was able to clearly see that the external energy was fully under the control of the personality of Godhead, even though different from him, even though he was aloof from them. And based on that, he compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. He revised it and taught it to Sukadeva, his own son, Sukadeva Goswami, because he thought he was the perfect person to perpetrate it and spread it to the others. And I think this answers the background of the Bhagavatam question. And we have that last question, answers to 8th and 10th question about Parikshit Maharaj. And so this is also more in the way of storyline. I'll quickly run through this brief summary. We know that when Parikshit was in womb of his mother Uttara, Ashwatthama released the Brahmastra, and then the Lord enters Uttara's womb in the thumb-sized Lord. So Parikshit sees him in that form, and then Lord gives his darshan and quickly disappears. So Then Parikshit is ultimately born when there are favorable signs of the zodiac, and astrologers predict about the Brahmanas, who are expert astrologers, predicted about his future. They said he'll be exactly like Pandu in strength. He will be a first-class devotee of Lord Krishna. He will be called Vishnu Ratha because he follows in the ways of Vishnu. So he will be like King Ikshvaku in terms of maintaining beings. He will be like King Rama in terms of keeping his promise. He will be like King Sibi in terms of donation of charity. He will be expand his name and fame like Bharata. And then as a bowman, he'll be as good as Arjuna, and he'll be irresistible and unsurpassable irresistible like a fire, and unsurpassable like an ocean. He'll be strong like a lion. He'll be shelter like the Himalayas. He'll be forbearing like the earth, and he'll be like his grandfather Yudhishthira in terms of equanimity. And we have many such. The most important thing is he'll be as good as Lord Krishna by following in his footsteps. And we have some more of other, and he'll be as staunch a devotee of Krishna as Prahlada. I think these two are really top, and he'll perform many Ashwamedha yagas. He'll be father of kings who will be like sages. Then the second part of the question, after hearing about his death, which will be caused by a snake bird sent by a Brahmana, he will get himself freed from all material attachments and surrender unto the personality of Godhead. After hearing about self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. Now, this is the most important thing. See, Parikshit Maharaj, when he realizes that the Brahmana's son has pronounced a curse on him, he did not try to counter it. He could have countered it as a devotee. No, he accepted it, and having accepted that, he immediately cut off himself from all material. He gave his kingdom to his son Janamejaya, and he decided to retire immediately. He said, now enough is enough. Now this destiny is brought to me that I should now focus on my spiritual progress. And there again the same thing. He is not trying to learn Bhagavatam. He just goes to the banks of the Ganges to fast until death. And his guru, Srila Sukadev Goswami, manifests, and then he immediately asks them various questions, and the result is the Bhagavatam. So you see, again, the same concept, how a guru materializes for a needy student, and how the student uses that opportunity. He was not worried about what happens in his kingdom. He was not worried about what is going to happen to him. He was only interested in Krishna and Krishna-related subjects. And I'll conclude this class with saying that Yudhishthira enthroned his grandson Parikshit in the capital of Hastinapura as emperor and master of all land bordered by the. And all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Prabhu Keshavdas. Thank you for this mercy. Thank you, Guruji. Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam to all the. Any questions? Few minutes, me or Prabhuji can try to answer.
Thanks a lot, Vasudevan Prabhu.
I would also like to hear some feedback, and particularly negative feedback that anyone have, because you are a good judge, audience, good. Of course, you can't compare me with Prabhu Ji. I'm just trying to learn from him.
That is very humble of yourself. Actually, the presentation was very good. The dealing of the subject matter was really good. Personally, I would say that you have kind of tick boxed most of the points that we had discussed in the past about how to make these presentation. There was personal sharing also, personal sharing of your experiences. At the same time, you were giving shastric connections. Some of the verses that are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, you were trying to relate them with the verses in Bhagavad Gita, like the Tad Vidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya verse that comes. Apart from that, also gave various examples at several points, specifically One I can remember is you gave the example of uh, like for example you explained the uh, bhakti, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example. What is bhakti? Hmm? So how bhakti is beneficial? You mentioned that it is because it gives knowledge and detachment automatically. And with the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's and that Brahmana, illiterate Brahmana, you tried to explain that bhakti actually is not something which requires material qualification. Without even material qualification, one can experience bhakti, or actually can progress in bhakti. So many of those presentation points were quite good. Some of the areas where I think maybe there is a scope for some improvement, in my humble opinion, is when you were dealing with the long list, like for example you were dealing away the names of the Leela avatars. So maybe you could have given some kind of say initial high level answer, and then make reference to some of those Leela avatars, rather than going into the details of it. Because if we are trying to go into the details of it, then actually we kind of miss the broad aspect of the answer that we are trying to make, huh? And then the same thing uh, in the end, like although you mentioned it to me in the beginning of the presentation that you were not able to edit the slides, but the questions that were there in the 8th and the 10th one, probably we could have summarized that question into a simple one or two sentences, and then similarly we could have summarized the answer also into maybe 3 4 sentences in some bullet points, so that when the students are reading the question and reading the answer, they actually get the gist of the question and the gist of the answer. If And if we are putting so much text in the presentation, that sometimes uh, uh, the reader is not really able to pick what exactly is the question and what exactly is the answer. At the end of the day, people may want to take away these points in brief, huh? So those are some of the areas maybe you may want to uh, uh, develop further. Like I want to compare that when we are doing a Bhagavatam study, so when we are doing a Bhagavatam study, then we may have to take up all these points in detail. However, when we are making a presentation on a theme and we are given some time, maybe we can keep the details in the background and focus mainly on the major uh, major message of the question, so that the details don't cloud the major message. That's the small feedback I would like to
No, no.
make.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's been a big learning experience for me. And I have learned a lot of things. I know what are the things, and whatever feedback you have given, you'll see it reflected in my future presentations, whether
Yeah,
here or elsewhere. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this
yeah,
opportunity and for this feedback.
yeah. Thank
Just
you
for
very much.
this, I want to understand how some of the others felt because they've
Yeah,
been
please.
hearing it. Please.
Sure, sure.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think it was very useful for me because since I missed some of the earlier classes by Keshav Gopal Das Prabhuji, Bhagavatam class specially, so it was very, very interesting as well as I would say very, very shastric also, and it developed a lot of things I have gathered from your presentation. And also, I'm gathering some, I would say, like my confidence is now shaky. Whether I will be able to present such kind of presentation or not, I do not know.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
Prabhu
I
will.
would like to I would like to mention that say once you are given some time, so make utilize of that time and develop your work in a systematic manner. When you say you are not confident, I would say that once you spend some time on a particular subject, and you get that confidence by learning it, and then you can present it in maybe 1 hour or so.
What
So
I was seeing, Prabhuji,
hmm,
that Vasudevan Prabhuji covered almost 12 chapters in one class.
Hmm.
So I was under the impression that we have to give a very little presentation, like half an hour or 15 minutes or so.
Yeah. So I would say it all depends upon the individual. It is not to what I would suggest is not to imitate exactly what Vasudevan Prabhu has been doing. Just assess your situation. If you want to make a presentation of uh, of a topic which you want to elaborate, choose a topic like that and present it. If you want to make a presentation on a topic which covers and spread over long many chapters, then you can do that as well. But the ultimate point is, uh, do it in whatever way you feel confident. If you think you are not really ready now to present maybe for 1 hour, you can present it maybe for 30 minutes, you can present maybe for 20 minutes, depending upon how you would like to do it. So
Yeah.
we can work it out together in the background, and then
Yeah.
give you the opportunity to present in the class. You may even, before presenting into the class, maybe we can you can present it to a small group of devotees whom you may want to invite
Yeah.
for your session. And then with that preparation, maybe you can present it to the class in a more formal
Yes.
way. We
Yes.
can do that in a more informal way, and then you can do the other one in a more formal way. The
Yes.
whole objective is mainly to give you the experience of presenting before audience, to give you a taste of what does it make and what does it take to prepare for a presentation, and ultimately to make you ready for probably starting your own Facebook channel, or maybe YouTube channel, or maybe even on-site classes that you may want to give at your place. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Okay. So any other feedback? Maybe Rakesh ji, Manish ji, Ishwar Prabhu, uh, some very Jivan Prabhu. Would you like to say something? So Ishwar Prabhu, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it was
Yes.
really very inspiring, and knowing that Vasudevan Prabhu has a science background and a very high executive involved in worldly matters, that too at a very high level, could be so good. It's really very encouraging.
Hmm.
And I don't know whether some such thing can be repeated by me, but certainly I'll be try to be a good student, if not a good teacher. That's I'm
Yeah.
really pleased with his exposition and clarity of thoughts.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
But really impressed by his knowledge of slokas, Sanskrit. So must be
Hmm.
a very lucky man to know Sanskrit at an earlier age.
Yeah, yeah. So what I would say, Prabhuji, in order to make a good presentation, it is not necessary to have the knowledge of Sanskrit. In case you think that is the weak point in our knowledge base, then we can actually do it without using Sanskrit also. We can simply use the translations to convey our
Okay,
point, convey our
right,
point. The
right,
idea, as you said, as Prabhu himself gave the example of an illiterate Brahmana, but an elevated Bhakta.
right, right.
So, when an illiterate Brahmana can be an elevated Bhakta, a person who has a small knowledge or less knowledge of Sanskrit can also become an elevated Bhakta,
Yes,
or a presenter
yes.
of Bhakti. So
Okay, yes,
that is
yes.
not a
That's very encouraging, very inspiring. Yes,
yeah, that is not a disqualification. So even
right.
if you want to present something, you can maybe try it out for 30 minutes. We can
Okay,
discuss upon a topic. Maybe even we can give you some write up on which you can study, and which
okay,
you can prepare your slides. We can help you preparing slides also,
right,
uh,
right,
and help you in whatever way that helps you gain confidence, find out your own way of doing things, find out your
right,
own
right,
space of doing things. Everyone
right,
has been gifted in a different way.
right, Prabhuji.
So
Yes.
we don't want to uh, lament about that what we are not gifted about. Rather, we want
Okay,
to
okay.
what we want to encourage ourselves is what we have and how we can use that gift in the service of the Lord.
Right, right,
And I think we have enough to utilize those in the service of the Lord. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
Right, Prabhuji.
So
Hare Krishna.
I would strongly encourage you also
Right,
to consider maybe making presentation, maybe small one, but
right.
making an effort. Yeah. So
Okay. Hare
Jivan,
Krishna.
yeah, okay. Jivan Prabhu, any thoughts from you, or maybe
Hare
yeah,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
yes.
Actually, I'm really actually it was a wonderful presentation by Vasudevan Prabhu.
Mm-hmm.
My and he has given a lot of his own example and
Hmm.
his experience. All these things he has shared.
Hmm.
Only my point was probably it would have been wiser if you had stopped it with for the first six questions.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that time would have been this thing. The
Okay.
last, the other question, I mean, this is a honest and sincere thing from my end.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And because the last six, the other, it took a little more time and
Yeah.
the time
Yeah. Yeah.
was exceeded. I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
really kind. It is not a. It is a really a constructive thing from my end. I am
Hmm.
really, in fact, he has taken so much of trouble to prepare the slides, and he has given all the examples, and he has
Hmm.
given references from. He has given from Vishnu Sahasranama and various
Hmm.
other things also. Bhagavad Gita, all the
Hmm.
things he has put.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
My point of
Yeah.
only this thing was, he has taken a lot of things for today's thing, like
Hmm.
myself. Normally,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I start presentation, my lecture as usual extends.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
that
he
is
has
what we
covered a
want
lot
to.
of
Yeah. So that is exactly what we want to. But when we are speaking, our desire is something that we should actually cover everything that we actually prepared, because we spend time to prepare things. We want to utilize it by making a presentation. So sometimes when we start to realize that the time is short, so we may have to skip some of those things, take some brave decision, and to skip some of those things to manage things well within time. That is why this experience of presentation and summarizing things that we want to share in a timely manner, in an effective manner, that is how the effectiveness comes. When we plan everything very nicely, rehearse things, give a lot of time to prepare and understand. So like you also said very nicely, that this is a tendency when you are also presenting, to cover everything. If there is a Gita shlok, we want to mention the Gita shlok. When we are mentioning the Gita shlok, we would like to mention the Sanskrit also, the translation also, sometimes points that are covered by Prabhupada in the purport also. But ultimately, we need to do things in a manner which is fitting in 1 hour, or and actually conveys the main point. And overall, the presentation gives, like for example, question and answer in Canto 1. So there are 10 questions. So question 1, answer is there. Some elaboration in terms of these are the verses, these are the important from the point from the verses. Question 2, this is the question, this is the answer. Some elaboration, this is the verse, and some of the important point from the verse, like this. And when there is a list that is coming up, then we say that there's a long list of incarnations given. Some of the names I would like to highlight are these. Some of the important points, probably, which I think I felt very nice and would like to share, are these, and then move on to the next one. So we need to overall, when we are presenting it, we need to once again look it back, whether we will be able to cover it in a timely manner or not, and then maybe edit it, reduce it, and so on. So that's how this exercise of presenting, re-evaluating, will give us will give us the feedback on which areas we need to work, and how to be a little more effective when we are presenting. Yeah. Okay, but really appreciate your feedback. Maybe one last from Rakesh ji, and then we will conclude. Rakesh ji, you are
Hare
also in
Krishna,
line. You
Prabhuji.
are also in line with presentations in the.
Prabhuji, I
Hmm.
find myself incapable after hearing Vasudevan Prabhuji.
Okay.
He-
So I thought you
Prabhuji, it
will.
was great effort by Vasudevan Prabhuji.
Hmm,
He nicely addressed, he
hmm,
touched all the relevant topics,
hmm,
giving various references from Bhagavad Gita,
hmm,
shared his own experiences.
hmm. And
Rest
also he spoke at times with feeling, with
with
emotion,
feelings. Yes, with
with feelings
feelings.
and emotion. So emotions and feelings also count. He's saying that I I could improve by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading Bhagavatam study. As a person, I could improve. And he was mentioning it not by he's using emotions and feelings to say that, isn't it? That also impacts.
But I also agree, Jivan Prabhuji.
Hmm.
After question number 6, it
Hmm.
looked lengthy because of lack of time.
No. I'll tell you the background. I'll tell you the
It
background.
was
I'll tell you the
addressed
background.
in haste.
Yeah. I'll tell you the background. So Prabhuji had already made the presentation and shared the presentation with me, looking for some feedback. So I gave him the feedback that some of the slides or many of the slides that you have prepared have lot of text. So you need to reduce the text. So this feedback actually came to him only 12 p.m. in today. आज से प्रेजेंटेशन वाज एट 5:30, 5.5 घंटे पहले उनको ये फीडबैक दिया गया कि भाई आप उसमें स्लाइड में थोड़ा टेक्स्ट कम कीजिए, थोड़ा उसको शॉर्ट कीजिए. So he could manage to do it for first 6 questions, but last 4 questions he could not manage to do it in the time frame. So that is why the whole little arrangement got a little bit not so optimum. But the point is, now we all have understood uh, the benefit or the importance of uh, the key points that I had given in the previous session, that use less words, try to make a presentation, study your presentation uh, again and again, and try to minimize it and try to rehearse it so that you can present it properly to the class. So that is the whole point.
Yes.
So it requires planning, it requires skill, and by doing this practice you will get that skill, you will get that skill, you will get that. Yeah. So anyway, all very good points, all good discussion. I think we are
Prabhuji, I would like to congratulate Mr. Vasudevan Prabhu, and I give my real heartfelt appreciation for having prepared such a nice presentation.
right.
Really, we are all thankful to you, Mr. Vasudevan Prabhu. We
Yes.
are really thankful, and we congratulate you on behalf of all our members of this devotee group. We are congratulating you. Kindly keep your efforts going, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your kind words, all of you, not only Jeevan Prabhu. I'm really overwhelmed by whatever feedback I have got, even from Prabhuji, etc. It just motivates me to improve and do better. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we'll conclude our discussion today. It was very useful in my humble opinion, and probably you will also have felt like that. We are discussing about how to present things and so on with Srimad Bhagavatam in the background. So I will soon connect with the other speaker, maybe couple of you together, so that you get ample time to prepare, ample time to select your topic, and and then we will find a date, suitable date to have you present these topics. So with that, thanks a lot. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Have a great week ahead.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Vasudevan
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.